we are the largest local authority landlord in London, and the second largest in the country with 55,000 homes. To deliver those 3,000 homes, we would have, and by the time we finish, would have borrowed about £1.2 billion.
Okay.
And with every borrowing, I have to pay the interest from the revenue account. And currently, I'm paying just under 45 million a year in interest alone. Okay. They are offering low interest loans to housing associations.
But not to councils.
Correct. 0.1%. I mean, I'd kill for that.
Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 million new homes, the local government challenge, sponsored by Redloft and by Mount Anvil and by Waits Residential and Bouygues and HTA Design. And every month I'm coming to a different council to ask what needs to change and what works in getting new homes built. And this month I've come to Southwark, to Burgess Park in the London Borough of Southwark, and I'm going to meet Hakeem Osinaike of Southwark Council to talk to him about Southwark's really quite impressive house building programme and why the brakes have been put on. Hello, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Hakeem Osinaike. I am the Strategic Director of Housing for the London Borough of Southwark. And housing in Southwark means a lot to our residents, because we are the largest local authority landlord in London and the second largest in the country with 55,000 homes. And 40% of people who live in this borough live in council homes.
Right.
So therefore, housing is Southwark and Southwark is housing. But my responsibility goes beyond, us being a landlord. We're responsible for, managing the tenancies of the people who live in those homes. We're responsible for managing those homes as well with all of the new legislative and regulatory requirements around building safety, fire safety, and all of that. But in addition to that, my responsibility covers the council's statutory responsibilities on managing homelessness and the allocation of social housing, not just council homes, but also housing association homes, and managing the people who want to get on into the council's, what we call council's waiting list. And then finally, I'm responsible for building council homes, which is the sexiest part of my job.
Yeah.
Because meeting housing need is primarily done by additional homes.
Yeah.
And in Southwark, where we've done very, very well. We have built over 3,000 homes in the last just around the COVID period. And no other local authority in England has built more homes than we have. So yes, that's my remit.
And how does that programme look going forward? That 3,000 homes you've delivered, can you maintain that pace?
No, sadly. We would love to, and we're going to do everything we can to maximise the number of homes we're going to build. But the reality is we are no longer in a position to borrow money to build. To deliver those 3,000 homes, we would have, and by the time we finish, would have borrowed about £1.2 billion.
Okay.
And with every borrowing, I have to pay the interest from the revenue account. And currently, I'm paying just under 45 million a year in interest alone.
Okay. And that's on the cost of what you've already built?
Correct.
Yeah.
And that 45 million is from the account where I need to find the money to invest in existing stock.
Yeah.
So yes, we want to build new homes, but by continuing to borrow to do so, it means that you're denying the ability to invest in existing homes, and you have to achieve the right balance in doing that. So therefore, we're looking at alternative ways of continuing to build new homes without having to borrow.
And what are those ways?
So Cabinet agreed a paper last year which proposes, and we have signed those agreements, by the way, what we call a development agreement, where we procure developers as partners, and we provide land, and they do the building at their own cost. And our land is our investment.
Okay.
And for that investment, we then get social housing back So we have signed an agreement with 2 developers, and we've agreed that they can proceed on a number of sites, which we're very happy with. We believe that we've got a really good deal for our residents, but we're not stopping there. We will continue to explore other opportunities because we've got sites. We've got sites where we actually have planning consent, basically shovel-ready sites, that we want to build. And I'm refocusing my team because we would not be able to build in the way we used to build. We're going to build in a different way. And therefore, I'm refocusing my team to get themselves ready for that new.
And when you say a different way, this is the partnerships with Waits, with Mount Anvil,
Correct.
who we're going to speak to later.
Yeah.
And presumably they get to build some homes that they then sell and retain the value for, and that's how they make their profit.
Correct. That's how it works, in effect. We give land, land has value, and in Southwark, land has huge value.
Yeah.
And they then build homes, some of which they will sell, and some of which will be affordable housing. And affordable housing will be 2 types. You would have those that will be rented at sub-market level, and then those that will be at social rent. The social rent will come to us as council homes.
Yeah. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So that begs the question, if that works, why would you not have done that before?
Because on all of those sites, Toby, we were delivering 100% council homes.
Right.
We've got 4,000 households on the housing register, what people know as the waiting list. And ideally, if a site can deliver 300 homes, would rather they were all 300 council homes because residents in Southwark need them. But because of where we are financially, we're having to do this deal, and therefore we're only getting a fraction of those homes.
Okay, so because you can't borrow any more money, you can only deliver so many social and affordable homes. The private sector has to deliver the remainder in order to generate a profit.
Correct.
In order to pay for it.
Otherwise, they won't come to the table.
So lots of questions come out of that. One of them is, how sure are you that the private sector, your partners, are going to be able to deliver those homes, are going to be able to sell those homes to generate that money to pay for this deal, given that the market for housing sales is so difficult at the moment?
Yes, I mean, that's a concern, but our deal with them is ironclad. Ironclad in the sense that we have agreed a minimum number of council homes they will deliver. And they will deliver those homes regardless of whether they build enough to sell or whatever the profit they make. They have agreed that they would deliver that minimum number. If things improve, by the way, for example, if they had planned that the homes they're going to build are going to be sold for 400,000, and all of a sudden something happens in the market and it's 650, we will get more council homes than we originally envisaged. But the minimum is the minimum.
Yeah. Okay. Makes perfect sense. Another question that arises out of what you've said. What do you say to the argument against having 100% affordable social homes in a particular scheme? Like, does it not become mono-tenure is the kind of technical word? Is that not difficult to create communities that thrive from mono-tenure?
I couldn't agree with you more on this, Toby. The days when you build 1,200 homes on an estate and it's all social housing, that's no longer the way to build a community. And when I said earlier that we were building all social homes in that way, it would have been mixed tenure anyway, but the council would have owned all of them. Yeah. Because we know that when you mix communities, people thrive better, children thrive better because they feed off each other. And yes, so I wouldn't want a situation where we were, building the old style council estates for sure.
The deal that you've done with developers is not your ideal. It's given the circumstances, this is the best deal we can do. This is the best way to get more homes built. What would you like to change? What needs to be different for you to be able to do what you want to do, for the council to deliver all of the homes, to own all of those homes going forward?
So ideally, even with the same plan, yeah. Say for example, on a site with 300 homes, we're going to sell some. Some are going to be affordable rent, as I said. Some are going to be shared ownership, and then some are going to be council social housing. I would have loved to build all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we then determine what that community looks like. And we prioritize, our residents. We do all of those things that we want to do. But the reason we can't do that is because, one, we can't borrow. And two, even if we could, the grant levels we're getting from government is not sufficient. And therefore, the gap between grant and actual cost is too wide. And because we're not set up to make profit. Because we're not set up to make profit, the business case is very different. So, for us to be able to do it ourselves, which will be our preference, is for, increased government assistance, for sure.
Okay, so it's more grant.
Well, more grant and less, lower borrowing cost.
Okay, yeah. So you don't have to pay that £45 million back.
Correct.
You only have to pay half of that.
Correct, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, for example, one of the things the government's done as part of the new social affordable housing program,
The SAHP.
The SAHP, correct, is that they are offering low interest loan to housing associations.
But not to councils.
Correct, 0.1%. I mean, I'd kill for that.
How many homes could you build if you got a low-cost loan, a 0.1% loan?
So at the moment, we're paying between 3 and 4%. And I mean, I'm no accountant, but you can work out the maths.
So
you're borrowing tens of millions of pounds.
Yeah, and that 3 or 4% is, you've still got a programme for what, 11,000 homes? Is that right?
Yes.
So if you could borrow at
0.1%
compared to 3 or 4%,
I would not be doing
you'd be building
agreements.
100,000 homes.
Correct.
Yeah.
We will not be doing development agreements. We will be, because we have the capacity to deliver those homes in terms of personnel, in terms of ability, to design the right sort of homes, to get it through planning, to do procurement and employ the people who will build. We can do all of that. But the reality is we would have to do that borrowing at a higher rate. And by the way, it takes 2-3 years to complete development. But meanwhile, I start paying the interest from day one, but I don't get any rent until year 3.
Yeah, and that's if there are no delays.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So what are these skills that you have that a council needs to have in order to deliver at that kind of scale?
I have a team here that have delivered those over 3,000 homes. Very clever people, very good people, dedicated, that have the skills, one, to procure the right partners, to work with those partners to make sure that they deliver what they've promised. And then to work with colleagues across the council to make sure that we're operating as one council to deliver those homes, and then to then have the ability to allocate those homes to the right people on our waiting list, and make people happy. When I say the right people, what I mean is, we have high levels of overcrowding, for example, and therefore we want to make sure that people are moving into new accommodation that it's the right size for them. We also have under occupation, and therefore, a person living in a 3 or 4 bed on their own to be able to move to a desirable 1 bed for them. And then, we have this local lettings policy where, because we're building on an estate and there is disturbance for people on that estate, we compensate them by saying they would have first dibs on those homes. But they would have to be a housing need first.
Yeah.
But if they're on the waiting list with a housing need, then they will get to bid for those new homes before anybody, because you don't build a community by, everyone seeing new shiny stuff and it's all new people getting it. So all of those skills we currently have. But I'm now in a position where I'm considering reducing them because we're no longer able to build the way we used to.
And in your opinion, is it possible for every council or most councils or all councils in major cities to be able to do what you're able to do, to have those resources, to have that capacity?
100%. Councils are the best. If you know, so the government wants to deliver 1,500 homes, and a significant portion of which they said would be social homes. You could say that, I would say that because I work for local government. But local authorities are the best in doing this. The social housing that was built in the 70s and 80s were all local government. And we stand ready to do it again. And we have a special incentive in the sense that we also manage homelessness.
Right.
We manage housing need.
Yeah.
So, I have over 4,000 households in temporary accommodation. I know what temporary accommodation does to families. I'd rather they went in temporary accommodation. But a housing association does not have that.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
So for me, rather than focusing support on housing association, I'm not saying don't support them. At the very least, support local authorities at the same level.
Hakeem, thank you very much indeed for your role in 1.5 million new homes.
Thank you. And we will continue to do our best, I assure you.
Power to your elbow.
Yeah.
So that's it for another episode of 1.5 million new homes, the local government challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Mount Anvil and Waits Residential and Bouygues and HTA Design. But we are going to be back with more from the London Borough of Southwark in just a few days. So subscribe and hit like, and we'll look forward to seeing you then.